Okay, Dr. Taylor, we're right at 2 o'clock.
Excellent. Welcome, everyone. So today is the first webinar of this nature. We have the distinct pleasure of hearing from a representative of the National Residency Match Program, NRMP, Jeanette Calli. She's the Chief of Match Operations out of Washington, D.C. I'm, of course, your 2024-2025 ACOEM President. As many of you know, this is the first year that the specialty of Occupational and Environmental Medicine, OEM, is participating in the NRMP match process. ACOEM leadership under Dr. Martin's presidency memorialized making the NRMP match process a priority into our policy. The OEM residency directors agreed to move forward with entering the match this year, and this decision was very much aligned with ACOEM's strategic plan. Perhaps just a brief overview of the relevant components of our strategic plan and how this aligns is appropriate. You may recall our ACOEM vision is healthy workers, safe workplaces, and thriving environments. And our mission, of course, is to advance the specialty and promote optimal health and safety of workers, workplaces, and their environments. I will not walk you through all of our organizational goals and strategies translated into priorities and objectives, but I will highlight just a few to put forward. And these were developed by your thought leaders, of course, and approved by the board. So priority number 3 was to become the trusted home and champions for all OEM professionals. And we wanted to invest time, talent, and resources into the pipeline. Secure the ongoing strength and capabilities of ACOEM to serve the profession, and in doing so, redesign ACOEM's organizational model and governance structure. And one of the big focus was, of course, OEHF. Our CEO wanted to dissolve OEHF and reimagine it in the OEM Future Fund to focus on pipeline, medical students, OEM residencies, and so on. And then with regard to remanaging our business model to ensure long-term success, we want to focus on our brand, our pipeline, our programs, and making sure that we're increasing our talent pool. You may also know that we had a moratorium on any new presidential task forces. However, I felt it was important enough to carry over Dr. Saido's pipeline presidential task force, which we continue on with, and that's continued to be chaired by Dr. Matt Ham. Of course, with OEM's new entry into the NRMP match process, we'll be discussing the critical roles that OEM plays in upcoming match process for our applicants. I'll now introduce our expert panel. I'll welcome first Jeanette Calli, Chief of Match Operations, National Resident Matching Program, Washington, D.C. Jeanette joined the NRMP in 2014 and serves as the Chief of Match Operations. She directs the daily operations of the main residency match, the 21 fellowship matches that are part of specialties, matching service, and manages the operations, support, and communications team. She provides strategic direction in the planning and growth of NRMP and other matching services. Prior to joining the NRMP, Jeanette worked for more than 12 years at the Association of American Medical Colleges, serving as the program manager for Careers in Medicine, a medical student career planning program. With Careers in Medicine, she presented hundreds of workshops and conference sessions on specialty choice and assisting students through the residency application and match process. Jeanette holds a BS in Communications and an MS in Higher Education and Student Affairs, both from the Florida State University. Also, I'll introduce the rest of our panel. We have some of our very own pipeline champions. I'll just introduce everyone all at once, and I'll turn over to Jeanette for a presentation. First, we have Dr. Pamela Krall, Associate Director for Occupational Health Services, Smithsonian Institute, Washington, D.C. Dr. Krall has been leading ACOEM's ambassador program for some time now. Next, we have Dr. Paul Ogden, Program Director, University of Colorado School of Public Health in Denver. Dr. Brett Perkison, Assistant Professor of the University of Texas School of Public Health in Houston. And Dr. Savul, Program Director of the Occupational Environmental Medicine Residency, UPenn at University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. So Ms. Calli will now give us a presentation, and then after that, along with the panel, will provide some key insights into navigating the match and preparing applicants for a career in OEM, and we'll answer your questions. So I'll turn over to Ms. Calli. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk to everyone today. Hopefully you all can see my screen with the slides. So I'm happy to walk you through and talk a little bit about the match. So first off, let me make sure I'm here in the right place. There we go. Wanted to start off with some very important dates. So we are currently in the thick of the match season. So this is the main residency match calendar. So we've got obviously kind of the application piece that is currently that is ongoing, and the interview piece that is happening. But the match, actually, everyone kind of refers to the match process as the whole thing. Like the match includes applications and interviews and all those good fun things. But technically, the match is actually just the ranking and matching piece. But everyone kind of colloquially, oh, I can't say that word today, calls it the match, right? So all of those pieces kind of lead to the match. But for us, the match is actually that ranking and results process. This is the main residency match calendar that we've got. So we've got some upcoming kind of deadlines and things. On the program side, the quota change withdrawal and SOAP participation status is upcoming. That'll be on January 31st. And the standard registration deadline for applicants is also on January 31st. So applicants do need to both register for whatever application service the programs are using, which I believe for occupational medicine is primarily ARIS, which is through the Association of American Medical Colleges. But to participate in the match, you also have to have registered with the InterMP. So you have to do both things in order to participate in the match. So that's a pretty important thing to know as we talk about the dates. So that does need to happen primarily by January 31st. That's that standard registration deadline. If you do register after that deadline, it's an additional $50 fee. So, but the big date is January or is February 3rd, and that's when ranking opens. So you're applying to programs, hopefully you're getting interviews and conducting those interviews with the program. So all of that kind of really stays the same, even though there's a match now in process. The different piece then becomes that ranking piece, right? So once you have applied to all of your programs and you've done your interviews, that's when it's time to figure out kind of, okay, what are my preferences around where I want to go do my training? And on the program side, it's what are my preferences for the applicants I want to train in my program? And so the InterMP is where you're going to do that ranking process and rank those true preferences in order to make a match. So that process begins on Monday, February 3rd at noon Eastern time. And so then you have until Wednesday, March 5th. So you've got some time to soul search and figure out what those preferences are in order to submit your ranks to the InterMP system. So that rank order list certification deadline is the same for both applicants and programs. So while you all are new to the match, a lot of this process is very similar in that you're still applying the same way. Programs are still reviewing applications, and they're still deciding who they want to interview and still conducting those interviews. The difference then comes into that ranking piece. So this is the timing of those pieces. And then once that ranking deadline has passed on the 5th of March, then it's in the InterMP's hands, right? We take those preferences for both applicants and programs, and we run the algorithm. The algorithm that we use, I'll talk a little bit about more how that works in a few minutes, but the algorithm that we use was actually the basis for awarding the Nobel Prize in 2012 in economics. And so it is a tried and true algorithm. The basis behind the algorithm has actually been in use for the 72 years that the InterMP has been running matches. So we've been doing this for a good long time, not me personally, but this is kind of the next piece of it, right? We run that algorithm and then we release those results. So there is a match week and SOAP process, which again is also different from kind of what you're used to, as opposed to just kind of getting, some of those offers directly or through, kind of an alternative match process. This is just a larger piece of it. So on Monday, March 17th is when both applicants and programs find out if they either matched or filled. And then the process of SOAP begins. And we're going to talk in more detail about that. So just wanted to give you what the timing of that looks like. And then on Friday is actually match day. So Friday, March 21st Also at noon is when you find out if you matched, where you matched, and the programs find out with whom they filled. So, and then of course, training begins on or around July 1st of 2025. So this is kind of the timing of everything, but let's talk about kind of the underpinnings of the actual match itself. When you registered for the match, hopefully you've all done that by now, you sign the match participation agreement, and that really provides the rules that govern the match participation process. And when we talk about the match participation agreement, all the rules that we have are pretty much the same on both sides. So all applicants are required to do things like provide complete, timely, and accurate information. Same with the programs. So the programs also have to provide complete, timely, and accurate information about their program. So all the rules kind of happen on both sides, but those match participation agreements are what you're agreeing to for the rules for the match. So there are different versions for different users, and hopefully you read through it a little bit. It is long, but hopefully you read through it a little bit of it, or most of it, when you signed it as a part of registering for the match. There's also an important information kind of section that really hits the highlights. So hopefully you at least took some time to read that. But when we talk about the match policies, we're really, it outlines, everybody's roles and responsibilities. And the biggest piece is it does establish a binding commitment to enter training if you match to a program. Same thing on the program side. It establishes a binding commitment to train you as an applicant if you match to that program. So it is a binding commitment. So ranking a program on your rank order list basically says, I intend to train at this program if I get matched there. Same thing on the program side. Ranking an applicant on your list says, I intend to train this applicant if they match to my program. So it does establish that binding commitment. The only party that can release either an applicant or a program from that binding commitment is the NRMP. So there is that binding commitment that occurs, and any adjudication of that. There is a waiver process, but we only grant waivers in the case of unanticipated significant hardship on either the program or the applicant side. So that binding commitment is real, and we do ensure that binding commitment happens, and it makes sure that everybody is kind of staying honest and accurate in their preferences. We also prohibit coercive questions and pressure about ranking on either the applicant or the program side. So programs cannot ask applicants how they intend to rank their program, and applicants can't ask programs how they intend to rank you as an applicant. So again, everybody kind of plays by the same rules. So we really want to try and make sure that everybody can make decisions in a fair and transparent way, while not having any of those pressures. So your decisions are your own, and you have agency in that through your preference list. We also protect the confidentiality of rank order lists. We do not release rank order lists to either party. So a program's rank order list is confidential, and applicants cannot see it. And an applicant's rank order list is confidential, and programs cannot see it. We will actually only release ranking information under subpoena of a jurisdiction that we fall under. So we will not release ranking information. So you can be sure that when you're ranking in the NRMP, that you can rank your true preferences, because nobody's going to see what that ranking is but you. And then we do, like I said earlier, we do have policies and procedures for terminating a binding commitment through a waiver process, but we also will investigate any alleged breaches of policy. So really the match policies are really central to keeping the match fair and transparent for all parties. And we have a ton of information about all of the policies on our website, as well as kind of policy pitfalls and different case studies. So if you want to take a look, there's a ton of information available there for you. So I talked a little bit about this, but this is really kind of an overview of that whole application and matching process. So you're going to research the programs that you're interested in. You've hopefully already done that as an applicant. Register for the match, very important. Complete your application and apply to the different programs using presumably ARIS in this particular specialty. You'll interview with those programs, and then that's where you start to figure out, okay, who do I want to rank? On the program side, and on the applicant side, where do I want to be in training? So you enter and certify your rank order list, and then we process that match algorithm and go into Match Week and SOAP for the results. So let's dive a little more deeply into this. I want to make sure we leave time for questions. There are different types of programs that participate in the match. And so the programs that you're looking at may have different types of training that you need to consider as a part of the process. I'm only going to cover really a couple of these because most of the programs in occupational environmental medicine really only have a few of these. But the categorical training is a training path that includes all the training needed for board certification in a particular specialty. So it's 3 to 7 years in length, depending on the specialty. Begins in the PGY 1 year, so it encompasses the full course of training. For an advanced program in occupational environmental medicine is one that begins in the PGY 2 year after you complete a year of preliminary training. And so positions that are advanced in the 2025 match are for positions that begin in 2026. So it allows you as an applicant to match to both a preliminary program to complete that PGY 1 year and an advanced program in one match to also get a full course of training. So it allows you to match to kind of both types of programs. So that you can see there the preliminary training that's 1 year in length. So if you're trying to match to an advanced, you also have to apply an interview on the preliminary side in order to, again, try and get that full course of training. And then for reserve physician positions, these are usually for trainees who already have completed preliminary training in advance of the match. So there are a fair number of programs that will have training in those specialty programs that begin in the PGY 2 year, but in the year of the match. So in other words, you don't need that year gap to complete the preliminary training. That position is available in the year of the match. So for reserved positions in this year's match, those are for folks who have already completed that preliminary training or training in another specialty. So those are the different types you'll encounter, and you'll see those letters in a program code for a particular program, so you'll know what type of program or position is being offered in the match. And again, this information is also on our website. We have a cute little video about all the different program types that you can watch as well. In terms of the actual rank order list itself, there are a couple different types, and again, it depends on what types of programs and positions you're going to be ranking, but everyone will have a primary rank order list. And so that is your list for your categorical, your advanced, and your physician reserved programs. And you can also rank preliminary programs on there as well, but those are typically only going to be ranked as a backup option in case you're not sure whether or not you're going to match to the other program types. Because it's only 1 year of training, right? So the programs on your rank order list can be a mix of geographic locations, of specialties, and of the different program types. So again, you're going to be ranking your programs in order of true preference. If you do rank advanced programs, and again, some occupational medicine programs are advanced, you would also have then a supplemental rank order list that you would attach to your primary rank order list where you have those advanced programs. And that again allows you to match to both an advanced and a preliminary program in the same match. So what the algorithm will do is it will try to match you to your advanced program first. And then if you do match to that advanced program, it will then look to the attached supplemental rank order list and try and match you to a preliminary program on that supplemental rank order list for that full course of training. So those are the two kind of different types of rank order lists. You'll only use the supplemental rank order list if you are ranking advanced programs. So again, more information on our website about this. I only have not too much time for this presentation, so I won't go into too much detail, but our staff is also able to help you with your rank order list around primary versus supplemental rank order lists and how to attach those. But I do want to take a minute for some ranking wisdom. There is no gaming this system. As I mentioned, it won a Nobel Prize, the work on the algorithm, and frankly, it's just math. So the best thing that I can tell you is to rank your programs in order of true preference. Same thing on the program side, is to rank your applicants in order of true preference. So you want to make sure that you give the algorithm a chance to match you to your most preferred program. And I'm going to show you a little video about how the actual algorithm works. It's going to run kind of a little sample match so you can see what I'm talking about. But you do want to request your InterMP program codes because that's going to help you rank those programs. And if you're a program, you're going to want to provide your program code to your applicants who interview with you. Like I said earlier, your rank order list can contain a mix of program types. The only way to rank is true preference. I'll show you more when we get to the video. You also only want to rank programs where you meet those institution and program appointment requirements. So the programs do have a requirement to provide that information to you. So they should be making sure that they need to be making sure that you meet those program and institution requirements on their side, but you also need to be doing the same. So make sure that you have looked at all of that information so that everybody has a good match. And then again, that binding commitment is very important. The other piece to know is that the InterMP will not enter or modify rank order lists. So once that March 5th deadline hits, I will tell you our phone does ring occasionally. And we have folks that say, I know I ranked this program my number 5, but it turns out when I searched my soul after the deadline, I want them number 1. The problem is we will not change a rank order list. So once March 5th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time hits, the rank order list that is certified in the system is the one that will be used in the match. So we will not edit, modify, change, or enter a rank order list for either an applicant or a program. So please know that that is a deadline that is for real. At 9 p.m., the system will shut down the ranking function entirely. So please note that that is a really important aspect of this process. So how does this whole thing work? Well, here it is, the big matching algorithm. It is applicant proposing, and what that basically means is it begins with an attempt to match the applicant to the program ranked number 1 by that applicant. So it starts with the applicant, in essence, proposing to the program. So, dear Johns Hopkins, you're my number 1, or XYZ program, you're my number 2. So it basically starts with the applicant's rank order list, and it does that in a random order. It just randomizes the applicants and starts with a random applicant, and it begins the process of making the matches. So let me show you the video because it explains it much better than I ever could.
The NRMP uses a computerized mathematical algorithm to place applicants into residency and fellowship positions. At NRMP, we call it the matching algorithm, as we use it to match applicants to their most preferred programs. The algorithm is applicant proposing, meaning it initiates placement of an applicant into a program based on the choices made on the applicant's rank order list and not a program's rank order list. However, for a match to occur, both the applicant and program must rank each other. Once started, the algorithm attempts to match each applicant to the applicant's first choice. If that can't be guaranteed, the algorithm will try to match the applicant to the second choice, and so on, until the applicant is matched or all choices have been exhausted. Let's run a match to see how it works. 5 applicants, Arthur, Sunny, Joseph, Latha, and Darius, and 3 programs, Mercy, City, and General, have submitted rank order lists. Each program has 2 openings. Starting with Arthur, we see he ranked only City. Because the algorithm is applicant proposing, it will attempt to match Arthur to City. City has ranked Arthur second, and because there are no other tentative matches for City, Arthur is tentatively matched to City. Matches are considered tentative because an applicant who is matched to a program at one point in the matching process may be removed from the program later to make space for an applicant ranked higher by the program. Sunny also ranks City first, and the algorithm attempts to match her there. City ranks Sunny third. Because City has 1 opening left, Sunny is tentatively matched to City. Joseph also ranks City first. The algorithm attempts to match Joseph to City, but because both openings are tentatively matched to higher-ranked applicants, Joseph can't match at City. The algorithm now attempts to match Joseph to his second-ranked program, General. General has ranked Joseph third, and since there are no tentative matches for General yet, Joseph is tentatively matched to General. Latha ranked Mercy first, but Mercy didn't rank Latha, so she can't match there. The algorithm moves to her second rank, City. City has ranked Latha, but City already has its 2 positions filled with more preferred applicants. She cannot match with City. The algorithm attempts to match Latha to her third rank, General, which has 1 unfilled position, so Latha tentatively matches with General. Finally, the algorithm attempts to match Darius. Darius is ranked City first, and City is ranked Darius first. Darius receives a confirmed match because he's the applicant most preferred by City. There's no chance he will be displaced later in the process. However, since City has only 2 openings, an applicant must be removed from City to make room for Darius. That applicant is Sunny, because she is the least preferred applicant on City's rank order list. The algorithm will now attempt to match Sunny to her second rank, Mercy. Mercy hasn't ranked Sunny, so she does not match to any program. The process is now complete, and the match is final. All applicants except Sunny have matched to their most preferred choices possible. Although all of Sunny's choices have been attempted, she didn't match at City because Darius and Arthur were ranked higher by City, and she couldn't match at Mercy because Mercy didn't rank her at all. City in general filled all of their positions, but Mercy is left with both positions unfilled. Mercy didn't use the match to its advantage because it submitted a short rank order list. Joseph, Latha, and Darius used the match to their advantage by ranking all acceptable programs at which they interviewed in their preferred order to maximize their chances of matching. Arthur took a real risk by ranking only City. Data showed that applicants with short lists have a higher likelihood of being unmatched. Remember, a match commitment is binding, which means an applicant is obligated to accept the position and begin training if a match occurs. To learn more about the matching algorithm, visit the NRMP website.
So I always feel kind of bad for Sunny. Oh, wait. Too much. Okay. Always feel a little bad for Sunny. But one of the things that that you'll notice there is, for instance, Arthur ranked General first, and he didn't match there. But one of the things we hear a lot from applicants is, well, I know you say to rank by true preferences, but I really think that that General is gonna like me best, right? So you often find applicants who want to rank programs that may not be their first choice lower to ensure they match. And so they don't go for their REACH programs. The algorithm will never penalize you for going for your REACH program. The algorithm will never penalize you as a program for going for your REACH applicant. If you don't rank in your true preferences, the algorithm will potentially match you to that one that is not really your true preference, and then it will never get to the other ones, right? So if you rank your REACH program lower than that one you think is a sure thing, well then if it's a sure thing, then you're never going to get to find out if that REACH program would have been a match for you. So don't try to game the system. Rank your true preferences. That's always really your best bet. So once we do that algorithm piece, that is when we we do that for, so that short example, we matched for, I believe there were 48,000 applicants in the match last year for right around 38,000 positions. So that was just a very small sample of what the algorithm does through the process. So once we run that algorithm, we produce a ton of reports, we do a lot of quality checking, and then it's time for Match Week and SOAP. So Match Week is always the third week of March, begins at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday, and ends on Friday when applicants and programs learn the results of the match. And then there is the SOAP process that happens during that week. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, and hopefully the slides will be provided. I know there will also be a recording provided. And there's a ton of information on SOAP on our website, but I'm running a little long, so I won't spend too much time on this. But there is a supplemental offer and acceptance program, which helps fill the unfilled positions after the matching algorithm has been processed. So applicants apply to programs using ARIS or the application designated by the program during that match week on Monday of match week. And then programs review those applications, contact applicants of interest, and then express their preferences through a list of, through what's called a preference list in the R3 system. SOAP is not another match. We do not run the algorithm again, but rather it is a series of offers and acceptances that happen on Thursday of match week. So those unfilled positions are offered to those applicants that are on the program's preference lists in a series of 4 offer rounds. And they do also consist of a binding commitment, just like the positions obtained in the matching algorithm. So this is what that match and SOAP week schedule looks like. It's on our website. So on Monday, we release the information. Programs learn if they build, applicants learn if they match. SOAP applicants can begin doing their applications at 11 on Monday, and then on Tuesday is when programs receive those applications. Again, only the unfilled programs at this point and the unmatched applicants are participating at this point. Hopefully you all will match and you won't have to even worry about this. Wednesday, programs continue reviewing applications and doing interviewing, and then SOAP offer rounds begin at 9 o'clock on Thursday. There's a series of 4 rounds. Those go through 8 p.m. And then we do release a final list of unfilled programs for any remaining programs that have not filled during SOAP or programs that chose not to participate in SOAP. So this is a little bit about how SOAP rounds work. If a program has unfilled positions, we take those preference lists and we only send, in this case, if it's a program that has 2 unfilled positions, we only send offers to the top 2 applicants on that preference list at the start of the SOAP offer round. And both offers can be tracked in the NRMP system. And then depending on whether or not the offers were accepted is whether or not the program goes on to be in different rounds, the later rounds. So if both positions are accepted, offers are accepted in the first round, then the program is done with SOAP and they can carry on with their lives and they have all their positions filled. If neither of the positions are accepted, then the program's positions will be offered to the next 2 applicants on the preference list, but not until the next SOAP offer round. So the applicants that receive an offer in that offer round have 2 hours to accept or decline that offer. Offers are not rolling during SOAP. So they do have time to accept or decline those offers, and applicants can receive multiple offers in a SOAP round. If one offer is accepted and the other offer is not, then the program has a binding commitment with one applicant, and then that remaining unfilled position will be offered to the next available applicant on the preference list, again, in the next SOAP offer round. So that is a very quick and dirty overview of how SOAP works. But basically, again, the applicants receive the list of unfilled positions, they apply to those positions using ARIS, and then the programs receive those applications, review them. A lot of them do quick interviews, phone interviews or Zoom interviews, and then they submit a preference list to the NRMP, and we go through the offer rounds, and they're done as offers as opposed to the algorithm running again. So a very quick and dirty explanation of SOAP. Once SOAP concludes on Thursday evening at 9 p.m., we do release a final list of unfilled programs. That is the remaining programs who still have positions, as I mentioned earlier, and then applicants can just reply to remaining unfilled positions, and the NRP is kind of out of it at that point, other than just providing the list. So the positions are available by specialty, and you can see that, and then applicants can view what those positions are if they're still unmatched at the conclusion of match and SOAP. And then Friday, March 21st, is the big day when we release for folks who did match, where the applicant matched is on Friday at noon Eastern time. So most medical schools do have match day ceremonies if you've got seniors in your program. So that's when the match results are available. We also release a ton of data at that point in terms of the match results. We do have, I've mentioned this a couple of times, a ton of resources on our website. We have lots of videos like the one that you watched that explain a lot of the different aspects of the process, as well as step-by-step support guides to walk you through every single aspect of the system. So how to rank, how to do your SOAP participation if you're on the program side, how to register, all the different aspects, where you get your results, what kind of reports we have. So there's step-by-step resources to help you with all of that. But here are some of them that you can take a look at. My QR code didn't come up, so my apologies on that. But these are here. They're all on www.nrmp.org. So you can see all of the information there. And oh, here's our data QR code. That one worked. So there is also a ton of data resources. So we do have a charting outcomes publication that obviously doesn't have occupational medicine in it currently, but it will in future matches that will show what the characteristics of applicants who match to preferred specialties look like. So things like, how many publications do applicants in occupational medicine have to match, and how many programs did an applicant who matched in occupational medicine rank to match. So all that data will be, as you all participate in multiple matches, be available to your specialty and to your applicants. We also do an applicant survey and a program director survey, but the big report that we do every year is the results and data of the main residency match. So that outlines how many positions were in the match in all the specialties, how many applicants preferred that specialty. When we say preferred a specialty, that's the specialty that they ranked first on their rank order list. And then how many applicants overall had that specialty just anywhere on a rank order list. And of course, how many matched, how many positions filled, unfilled, how many applicants matched by the different applicant types, and as well to the different program and position types. So we release a ton of data every year about the match, as well as doing some of these other specialty publications. So that information is always available to you on our website. So that is, sorry, I probably went a little long. That is my presentation, but this is where you can find us. And I have a really, really strong, really experienced team of support folks. Our average time on my staff is right around 8 years. So we have folks who have been through a lot of matches. And my operations manager is helping run his 32nd match. This will be my 11th. So we have a really experienced team. So we hope that you'll reach out to us as you have questions. So I'll stop the share so we can get to the panel. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Jeanette, for that presentation. And attendees, definitely go ahead and put your questions or comments in the chat feature there. And I see some questions are already rolling in. So I'll go to Dahlia. Dahlia's asking, can programs offer interviews to applicants who submitted applications before the SOAP begin? That is, those who applied before SOAP in the main match, but who were not offered interviews.
So in SOAP, you have to apply during SOAP to that program if you want an interview. So programs can only look at applicants who applied if they're unfilled and the applicant is unmatched, so they're eligible for SOAP. Programs who are unfilled can only look at applicants who apply to them during SOAP for the SOAP process. So so you have to actually apply to them during SOAP. Even if you applied to them during the regular season, you would have to apply again as a part of SOAP so that they will know your status, right? Because they won't know whether or not you matched.
Are these applications also roll in through ERAS, or there is a special application system for the SOAP?
If your program is already using ERAS as a part of the regular season, then you will use ERAS for SOAP.
Okay, just one more question, please, if I can.
Good. I-
We have several tracks. Do all of the tracks have to be in the SOAP, or does each track by itself enroll in SOAP or no, or all tracks have to be together enrolled in the SOAP?
You make your SOAP participation decision by track. So you can decide that your R track or your A track, if you don't fill your advanced track, for instance, and you don't want to participate in SOAP, you'd rather put it in as a R position in the following match, you can do that. And you can just say no to your SOAP participation status.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question also from Tracy. Are all OEM programs in the match at this point considered advanced? That is meaning we need to apply to prelim as well, or are there any that are categorical?
I haven't looked at those numbers lately. I don't know if.
And I'll also invite others from the panel also, crossing over a little bit.
Well, I'll sort of say what I know. As far as I know, all the new programs in the NRMP have not set up a prelim year where you apply for that. However, if you can apply separately to a transitional year, there's at least a few programs, including ours, that you can apply for an intern year and then also apply for us for the PGY2 year. I believe Loma Linda is on that program where they do have the prelim year as part of it, is the only one that I know of.
Yeah, so just in looking at the list here, I pulled it up. Pretty much, I don't see any categorical programs. I only see advanced and physician reserved, so our programs. So the both PGY2 programs that either begin in 2025 or 2026. So if you're applying to an advanced, you would need to also secure preliminary if you don't already have it.
So Jeanette, I think everyone may be wondering, what options does Sunny have? In the video you showed, Sunny did not match. What are her next options? Would she be eligible for the SOAP process?
Correct. So Sunny would then take a look on Monday of match week. She would find out that she did not match, and she would go and look at that list of unfilled programs in whatever specialties she's interested in. You don't have to stick with your original specialty if you choose not to. But you can see what unfilled programs there are in occupational medicine in this case, and then go apply to those programs during SOAP. And hopefully you'll get contacted by a program. You are not allowed to reach out to programs except by submitting an application during SOAP, so you cannot contact a program directly. You can only apply to programs during SOAP. You cannot contact them in any other way except through the application. And so then programs have the ability to then review those applications and reach out to Sunny and talk to Sunny, and then hopefully put her on a preference list for the rounds.
And I heard you say, Jeanette, that the results of the match is binding, so a resident should really plan to start that program where they match. But what if someone has let's say a family emergency and they're unable to start? What options does that program have at that point?
So if a resident or an applicant has some sort of unanticipated serious hardship, then they would submit a waiver to the NRMP. So again, everything has to go through the NRMP. The NRMP is the only entity that can release an applicant or a program from that binding commitment. So the applicant would submit a waiver. Those waivers are reviewed individually by our policy team, as well as the policy review committee that is made up of our board members. So everything's reviewed on an individual basis, and then they would decide whether or not to grant that waiver. If the waiver is granted, the program will be released from the binding commitment to then go and recruit a candidate outside the match, obviously, because the match will have concluded at that point. And then the applicant would, of course, move on with their life. So yeah, but they would have done it correctly. They'd be released from the binding commitment.
Great, thank you. And we have a question from Ross. Is OEM in the main match or in one of the other smaller matches that some individual specialties use?
OEM is in the main residency match.
Thank you. And full transparency, so we've started interviewing applicants. So I had some interviews today even, and I went out of my way to ask how was the process for them, the NRMP process, and they've all said it was quite smooth. So that was a relief to hear. But one raised one question, which I thought was interesting. He said he felt like he gave up some autonomy with the process, but felt that the programs benefited from that. Just curious to hear your thoughts about that, Jeanette.
Yeah, I always think that's an interesting kind of take on things in that you're in complete control of your rank order list, right? So in the days before the match, I think a lot of it was a case where you kind of gave up your autonomy in that you could potentially get, an offer from a program before you'd completed all your interviews and would have to give a response to that program and not know what your status was with everyone else. Versus the match, you're making all of your decisions with all the information, right? You've applied to everyone, you've interviewed with the programs that are interested in you, and now you have this decision-making autonomy where you can decide your true preferences, and the algorithm is going to take all of those preferences into account in making the best match possible. So I actually think it gives more autonomy rather than less, because you have all the information you need to make the decision that's best for you, and the algorithm is going to take your preferences to make those matches. So you saw in the video how that works. It is simply applicant proposing and begins and works its way through to make the best match possible. So I always think that's an interesting argument, and it feels like a loss of control because it's like the big computer in the sky is making the decision. But in the end, that decision is based on your preferences. So it's just straight math, I promise.
Okay, we have an anonymous question. So not all OAM programs have decided to enter the match. If a student decides to apply for preliminary programs only and then enter the match during intern year, to make sure we can apply for all OAM programs, including those not in the match, will our chances be hurt in any way?
I can't speak to what programs outside of the match are doing, so I don't know if any of the panelists want to hit that.
Panelists have any insight into that anonymous question.
I guess if I follow the question correctly, the person was wanting to go ahead and do their prelim year this year and then apply for the match separately for next year. And I think it's certainly, I don't think it will hurt their chances. It will change anything. This is a new program for all of us. There's a chance that some programs may not be in the match next year. Each year we change we can change what we're doing. But my suspicion is that all the programs that are in the match this year will also be in the match next year, and that it won't change the math any on your chances of getting it. It shouldn't hurt you.
I think there's more to it than that, Brett. And Jeanette, maybe you can help us understand, because some of this with being committed to the match. So if somebody signs up to participate in the match as an applicant, they can't take a position outside the match. They're obligated to accept a position in the match if they rank. And I guess the only way they would get out of it would be if they didn't rank any programs.
Correct.
If they rank a single program, right, they have to accept position within the match unless they're totally unranked.
Right. So you have to either, if you accept a position outside of the match, you have to withdraw from the match. So you can't play both sides to the middle, right? So if you intend to participate in the match, you have to participate in the match. Same thing on the program side. Programs who are participating in the match have to put all of their positions in the match or be out of the match entirely. So again, all of our rules are the same on both sides. The one caveat to that is that if you are a U.S. senior, and you are as an institution, if any of your programs at an institution level participate in the match, you cannot take a U.S. senior, which are considered sponsored applicants, outside of the match, period, end of sentence. So all U.S. seniors can only be taken through the match. So if there are OEM programs who are not participating in the match, who are intending to recruit you as seniors, that would be a match violation for your institution.
Medical students specifically. So, but somebody who's in an internship is in a different category.
That's in a different category, correct. Those are independent applicants. Those are not sponsored applicants. So yeah, but it's kind of an all-in concept, right? So on the program side, if you put one position match, you have to put all of your positions in the match. On the applicant side, you either have to be all in the match, or if you are taking an offer outside of the match, then you have to withdraw from the match.
Thank you again. So one burning question I got from several sources is what kind of useful data can we expect to glean from the match cycle for the specialty overall?
Yeah, so I mentioned some of that when I was talking about all of the different reports that we offer. So we have the match results and data book that we have. It includes fill rates, numbers of programs, numbers of positions offered, numbers of positions filled, numbers of applicants, numbers of ranks by specialty. So all of that information is available. We do things like the numbers of positions per applicant, the ratio of what that looks like. We do a lot of that by applicant type as well. So there's just a ton of data that comes out about the match. And then as we continue to collect data and registration information from your applicants, we also collect demographic data. So there's a charting outcomes in the match demographic characteristics report that will break things down like by gender and race and ethnicity and socioeconomic status. So you will get actually a lot of information about your specialty as you go through the match.
And one follow-up to that is, do you also provide information about things like USMLE scores, GPA, class rank, and what other specialties they're applying to help us compare it to other specialties?
We don't know what other specialties they're applying to because we're not the application service, right? But we do know what other programs they ranked. We don't tend to get into that because parsing that data can be a little much. But yeah, we do have information that we will release through charting outcomes in the match, which is characteristics of applicants by preferred specialty. So applicants who preferred occupational environmental medicine, what that looks like in terms of their step 2 scores and how many publications and research experiences. So all of that information is available in charting outcomes. That publication only comes out every 2 years though, because we find it doesn't change very much from match to match. So it will be 2 years before your specialty is represented in that charting outcomes report.
I'm not sure if this question is fair, but we'll see what the panelists think. Are there any OEM programs that are not participating in NRMP?
I would say like 90% of the programs had planned or had said yes, that they would be participating. And so there are probably a couple which did not. I do not know the final number or how many of those 90% participated.
And of course, military programs don't, but.
Thank you. And has the NRMP changed in the last 5 years, or is the process still the same?
That's a hard question. Yeah, I mean, overall, the process is pretty much the same. I mean, we've had some additional, policy changes. We've, added things like reports and stuff, but the core process itself has not changed. And certainly the algorithm hasn't changed.
And does joining the NRMP help medical students with career planning?
I can take that one. Yes. In fact, I was interviewing an applicant today who's already in their internship, who was nervous because they weren't sure that occupational medicine was a real specialty because we were not in the match. And so they were sort of winging it by signing up for a transitional program. and not knowing what was going to happen afterwards. So the ability for a medical student to plan their training career, so they will have to find their preliminary internship, but then they can also know that they have their real specialty set up. And as Jeanette showed, their first match would be to that specialty year that they would start at PGY2, and then it would go back and look for their internship. So that alone for career planning for medical students, I think is huge. And I've seen it with our applicants, because now we're getting medical students applying to our program and looking to match to start in July of 2026. So I think it's a huge game changer.
Yeah, and those physician reserve positions that, I'm sorry, those advanced positions that begin in 2026 are not only for people who want to match in a prelim year, also in the same match. If you just want to know where you're going to be 2 years from now and you don't have any prelim training to complete in 2025, you can still apply for and attempt to match to advanced programs. So it's not like you have to get your prelim and advanced in the same match. If you've already got that done and you just want to know where you're going to be 2 years from now, you can do that.
So, I have on the same, Jeanette, like somebody who does not match for a prelim July 2025, and they match for an OEM July 2026. So what happens in that situation?
So they would want to pursue a prelim training in the SOAP process, and there are actually usually a ton of prelim positions still available in the SOAP process. So they would need to pursue that. If they were not successful in SOAP, they would continue to try and pursue a prelim position, because things happen, right? And prelim positions will come open. Advanced programs can also, after the match, create a preliminary position, if that is a possibility at your institution, for partially matched applicants. So that would be a possibility as well if your institution is able to do that. So that would be the one exception to the all-in policy, is we do allow institutions to create prelim positions for partially matched applicants at the conclusion of the match. So yeah, they would just continue to try and obtain a preliminary position. If all else fails and they could not, and they were not going to be able to secure it in a time to start by July 1, then we would waive that advanced commitment. And the program could then put the position back in the match the following year.
And one other thing, I guess that's also good from the standpoint of OEM, there's a lot of flexibility in what type of preliminary year someone does. So it opens up more possibilities compared to other specialties. Just
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have internal medicine prelims, we have transitional years, so there are options in the match.
Quickly, so what for the program, like or for their number 2, for example, for the advanced position, who did match for a prelim 2, can then they go to that number 2 on their list for July 2026?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding your question.
Meaning the advanced position, advanced applicant did not meet for July 2025 in a prelim program, but they matched for the July 2026 for OEM. But then they ended up not matching or having a prelim year. So that binds the OEM program still to wait for them?
No, we would release so if the applicant couldn't secure training for prelim year, and they ran out of time, right? Then we would release the advanced program from that binding commitment, because the waiver process would begin, and we would release that advanced program from the binding commitment, so that you all could go pursue another applicant. So presumably you would just put that position into the following year's match as an R position, a PGY2 position, beginning in the year in 2026. But no, you would not have to wait for that applicant. We would release you from the commitment.
Thank you. This has been a great discussion. We're at the top of the hour. I don't see any other questions rolling in. So I'll invite any of the panelists to make any final comments. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and conclude. Everybody's good?
I would just add, thank you all for your interest in this. We're excited about it, and we think it's going to be great for the specialty. So feel free to give us feedback as well.
Thank you, Brett.
Huge game changer already. It feels very different for me planning this year on who will, how we can use our strategy to bring applicants in. And we're seeing fantastic applicants this year.
Yes.
Having watched this as a military program director for several years, I'm so happy to see this change. Definitely, I'm glad and I'm
Yes.
hopeful for the future with it. Thank you, everybody.
And thank you, Jeanette. Like you've been very helpful these last couple of years, helping us set this up. And also, big thank you to ACOEM for their ongoing support for the match and for the programs.
Absolutely. So thank you all for joining us for this very important and engaging presentation of the NRMP process. Thank you for your participation. Applause for our panel. Special thanks to Jeanette Calli. The recording, of course, will be posted on the ACOEM website. Tell all your friends. And at this point, we'll be signing off. All the best for the upcoming holidays.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.